Hi, I am your host, Judy Hanson Jewett. I am a spiritual teacher and an intuitive energy healer. My clients release quickly their trauma and instantaneously feel balanced, centered, and lighter. The purpose of Enlightenment with Judy Jewett is to provide a spiritual view on current global events. You will find me at Facebook at Judy Jewett and then also Judy E. Hanson. I'm asking everybody who is listening in, please go to my YouTube, Judy Jewett, and please like it because once I get to, I think, 50 likes, then I can have my own link. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone for joining us and hope that you enjoy the topic and be empowered. This is the second part of our series that is about healing, helping America to heal. We're going to give you tools today to help in that process so you'll gain more clarity, feel more balanced and centered. I have two guests with me today. I have Reverend Dr. D. Adia Moses. She's a visionary author, life strategist, business coach, entrepreneur, humanitarian, and a spiritual leader. She's an ordained minister with a PhD specializing in holistic life and spiritual counseling. She will help to discover, evaluate, and find solutions to the issues and challenges that hold anyone back in life. Our next guest is Reverend Angela Harrington Rice. She currently is a part of the interim executive director of Interfaith Community. She provides guidance and leadership for the World Pilgrims and immersion programs. For over 25 years, Angela led a distinguished career in television broadcasting in the Atlanta region. During her career, she developed and produced award-winning television series that explored the spiritual lives of faith leaders in Atlanta, addressed the concerns of women, and was awarded a regional Emmy Award for World Pilgrims, Sacred Journey to Turkey. You can find Angela at radiantvisioncommunication.com. Reverend Dr. D, you can find her at Dr. D. Dr. D. AudioMoses.com. And I am at judyjewett.com. So with that being said, I want to thank everyone for being here, as I said, and I want to go ahead and begin. And it was really exciting to be on TV yesterday, wasn't it, ladies?
Yes, very exciting.
Yeah, Angela, you've been on TV for the last, 25 years?
Or more.
or more.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great way to reach a lot of people. And that's why I love doing it, is so we could reach a lot of listeners about about healing and about what's going on in America. Part one, we discussed personal feelings. I asked you ladies to be really candid with me and tell me what it's like in your community of Atlanta, with just with what's going on with the law enforcement, the riots, and being black in a large city, but feeling at some point, some differences. And then we went in and we discussed also that it's more than just racism. It's not really that necessarily. It's about humanity. And we're going, the three of us being spiritual leaders, we wanting to rise up and let you know that it's showing up as racism. It is showing up being unfair. It's showing up being overpowered by government officials, but it's not. It's so much more than that. So what I'd like to do today is give us just a couple minutes, each of us, to give our view of how you see what is really the real problem in America right now, in the world. And then we are going to dive in to two healing things that you can do, the listeners can do to help them during the crisis. So with that, Dr. D, will you please begin?
Yes. Thank you again, Judy. This is really a wonderful platform that you're giving our listeners and us to be able to share our own contribution into the healing process that we all so need. So the greatest gift, as I see it, that any one of us can give another human being is to see yourself in that person. When you disregard the pain of others, you are overlooking their humanity. And by disregarding another person's humanity, what you're really doing is undercutting your own humanity and your own good. And the way we see this forward is that healing has to take place. And for that healing to take place, we must first acknowledge that the humanity that is within you is within everybody else. You and everyone else are made in the image and likeness of God. So even though our society, they have taught us, it's been ingrained in us to first of all look at skin color. That problem, for us to have a collective healing because of that ingrained skin color or that collective looking at others first, their skin color, before you decide what to do with them. For that to happen, the healing to happen, we must change that. And to be able to change that, we have to practice what is called transformative thinking. Transformative thinking is seeing first the Spirit of God in the people you come across. Second is embracing that God within others as you embrace it within yourself. So the same way you rate yourself is the same way you have to be able to look at others and see that God within them. And the more you practice this, you now see more good in yourself and in the world and in others. So very simple.
How do you do that? So when you see somebody, you just see God? I mean, you just zero in and say, I don't care who you are. You're beautiful and I love you.
Definitely. That's part of it. But you don't, the most important part of it is that you don't come in with any preconditioned judgmental notion. You have to let that go. And this is practicing. You have to practice it over and over and over again. Because sometimes, even if you have in your household, one child is doing very well, one child is not doing very well, or whatever it is, the dynamics of your household. If you are not careful, you start preempting the other one for no just reason, even when they're doing well. But if you practice that, all of them are good, all of them are God's children, all of them are work in progress, and sometimes things can happen, you will find that the result will be more positive. So it's really having that attitude with everyone, not just your family members.
Dr. D, so you're telling me that the police officer that was holding down George is a part of God?
Everybody is a part of God. It is whether you link into that part of you.
Okay, so in other words, it doesn't matter because you're not judging, even though that situation is a little different. But I'm saying it doesn't matter who the person is, whether it's the cop or not.
There are people, whether he did what he did because that part of him was dead, was not using it. If he had seen the man as he sees himself, he will never have done that, because you will have known this is another human being.
So, but how do you stay out of judgment to that and love him anyway, the police officer?
The whole thing, it is practicing, and it is a process. You know, many people sometimes need to have, like, you know, spiritual people like us to work with them, because their childhood processes that has to be removed, why people think a particular way. So we cannot just talk about all that in a few minutes that we have here. But if you know you have those issues that are serious, you are nasty, you are judgmental, you want so many people to not be here, because a lot of these people, they don't even want you here. It's not even only that they're saying that you're Black, they do not want you on this earth. And you have no power. You have not been given that power to make that decision. God has that power.
So what you're saying, the more that a person is aware and the more they practice,
the more you get to that side of your life, that being in touch, the oneness consciousness, that being in touch and seeing other people as you see yourself, being in touch with that human side of you, that you know that humanity is one. The first thing is for you to want to be that. And then the process starts.
Okay, so it's that desire. It's being open.
Yes,
to see that. Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, that's what I tell people about that are bad mouthing the president of the United States. Is stop it. You guys are creating more of this. Why don't you see that he volunteered? You know, he's doing this job. Just love him because he's another spiritual being. You don't have to agree with everything, but just see him in the likeness of God.
I mean, everybody should be seen in the likeness of God.
Everyone. And if we did that, the whole energy of the planet would change.
Of course.
It would change. It would absolutely change. And it's right. And I will tell you, being a mindset and into the DNA, working with people, that the more that we keep blasting, you know, what's going on with COVID, with the riots, even with the president, you know, it doesn't matter. We're just feeding more of that energy that isn't good. You know, if we would look at all the good, then you're going to start seeing the good the president is doing. You're going to start seeing the good that's happening on the planet with COVID. You're going to start seeing the good, you know, even with what's going on with the protest.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful. Is there any other things you want to add to that before I move on to Reverend?
You asked me a question. I think yesterday after we finished on TV yesterday, and you were asked that question. I kept thinking about it. You said, D, when a policeman stop you, how do you handle it so that you get the best result out of what is happening to you?
It isn't about color. Isn't about the color of the skin. But you're triggered because of the consciousness of, well, I'm Black and there's a cop pulling me over. You told me that we talked about that on Monday.
Yeah.
And I said to you, okay, you have a higher vibration consciousness. So even though we all have those thoughts that flee, but you can dismiss them immediately. And that's what you told me you did. So share with everybody what you did and what they can do.
Yeah. What I do, and I tell you, Judy, and Reverend Angela will concur with me. I tell you, I am always jittery and scared if I'm stopped by the police. And I don't see any Black person that would say they don't have that inside of them.
Well, even everybody has that feeling.
Oh, so you are you afraid of police when they stop you?
Well, I don't want to be pulled over because it's like, oh my God, what did I just do? Oh no.
So, but the visual that we have is different from probably the visual that you have.
Okay, right.
So the visual we have makes us more afraid because, anything can turn off very quickly. So the important thing is that when that happens to me, and I want people to be able to use that, is that I pray immediately. I am praying. And my prayer is that the God within him see the God within me. And so he sees me as that child of God and sees God. So whatever I say, let him hear God, Lord. Let him hear you, not me. Let him see you, not me. And I cannot remember when I've gotten a ticket last, or I've been stopped a few times but no ticket. Maybe one time that I've gotten a ticket, long time ago. So the whole thing is the compassion. Because if you have a compassion for another human being, you see that spirit of God in them, your relationship with them is different. Because I have seen policemen and women, the way they react if they're Caucasians that they stop. I've seen it. I saw one some time ago. They were 4 boys, Caucasian boys, and they were stopped and they all packed. And they were about maybe 4 white policemen. So I went away and I was thinking, wow, only God knows what's going to happen. And I saw them looking through all their things. Well, by the time I was coming back, they were all laughing and talking, and the guys were just laughing and talking. I don't know whether they did anything. I don't know, but what went through my mind was, I don't think that would have happened if they were black boys. I don't think so. I think I probably would have seen them being handcuffed, and they will have been sitting at the side of the street, and then everything can go wrong from then, because the boys are being boys. They probably will start cursing and get angry, and everything will just go haywire from then on. So what we are saying is that spirit, we all have it. We have to tap into it. We have to connect with it and let it come out from inside of us to connect with other people. So when they see you, they don't just see you as black, they see you as a child of God.
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. So we want all the listeners to remember that, to pray and get centered, and exactly, may I speak and may everything happen from the child of God, and they see that, and to change that. And then you talked about seeing the good in everyone.
Judy?
Yes.
Somebody just sent me a message that they cannot hear us at all on Facebook.
All right. I don't know why, because it says that we have gone live. So all I'm saying is we need to continue. And,
okay.
And then this is recorded, and I'll download it and I'll broadcast it again.
Okay.
It doesn't show that we're muted by any means.
Okay.
Okay, so let's keep going, and we do need to move on. I appreciate all your wisdom, Dr. D, but I'm asking whoever has a phone on, if you could please put it on the ringer, that would be great.
Yes.
Yeah, there is noise in the background. Okay, with that being said, Reverend Angela, could you please come on and share with us some wisdom that you know, and 2 things that you can help and share with the listeners to help them in healing?
Well, one of the things that Reverend D spoke about was humanity and seeing everyone as a reflection of God. I think for some segments of our society, that's difficult, because the images that have been presented of God and of Jesus, if you believe in Jesus, they've all been white. And so think about, if you see something over and over again of a certain image, that sticks in your mind. That
we have to change that too.
this entity, yes, it does. It affects both of us, both
Yes, and we have to
communities.
change it. We need
Yeah,
to
we
change
do.
it.
Yes, we
Jesus
do.
is
I
not
know
white.
Jesus
God is not
wasn't born
white.
white. I know
I
that.
know, but I'm not saying it can be a lie. If you tell a lie long enough, it becomes
Yeah,
the
I
truth in
agree.
some people's minds.
Yes.
So the idea is that there are those segments of our population that does not see African people as human, one, and they don't see them as an image of God. And that is deeply in store. You work with DNA, so you understand the concept of epigenetics.
Yes.
That if you are having a condition or an idea over and over and over again, it reshapes your DNA. That is so interesting. Your environment can shape your
Yes.
DNA. So there are many people who have disassociated with what is really true, and how do you begin to help people get to the point where they do understand the humanity of people, where they go back to the syllogism that tells us if you do this and this, then you're a human. We are human beings. And so we have to begin to, before sometimes you can put in something clean or some ideas that's really going to take you forward, you're going to have to get rid of some stuff.
Yes.
You're going to have to get rid of some ideas, and that's for African Americans and white people. We got to get rid of some ideas. We have to do a cleansing. And I think Reverend D will agree with me that right now, this world is in a cleansing mode.
It is.
You know,
I
our
agree.
truth tell us that. My cousin works, my cousin has a mortuary. She has seen more deaths now than she's ever seen in her like 20 years of business. There's a cleansing going on, and there has to be a cleansing of our minds and our hearts. And so one of the things that I say is let's take a moment to kind of center ourselves and begin to do the hard work of releasing all of that stuff and junk that has clouded our vision. Let us begin to do the hard work. It's not easy. Particularly for whites, it's white privilege. Does that mean I got to give up my privilege? Or if I don't give up my privilege, what happens to my privilege? So it's about, where did I get these messages from? How do I disconnect from the message of my great-great-grandfather?
Yes.
How do I begin to look at people who are African American, people who are Chinese, people who are Latino? How do I begin to see them as I see myself? And so one of the things you have to do is first is make a decision. Am I willing to do that? Am I willing to do that? The other question is, if I'm not willing to do it, what can make me willing? So if you begin to put yourself in the space of people who have been disenfranchised, people who have been murdered, people who have been not taken care of by the medical community because of their color of the skin, because this impacts every aspect of a person's life. There are myths that Black women can take pain more than any other women. And so think about how you get treated when you go to the doctor or when you go to the hospital.
When
Because
you don't have a baby.
you're different. I remember having pains and went to the doctor, a white doctor, and he says, well, some people just have pain. There was no treatment. There was no discussion until I actually went to another female doctor who was able to discover what was wrong with me.
But you're saying, okay, you were saying you went to a white doctor, but you can't say that that's why the doctor did that was because
but there are statistics there. I'm not talking from out of the blue. There are statistics that show how African American women are treated by the medical society. And one of the things is that there's a myth. You got to remember there was a whole bunch of theories about the brain size of African Americans, the way we had babies. It was all systematically set up. So these things aren't just in a thought or a word. There are things that we have inherited from our ancestors.
that is right. We all have. So
the
when
second thing I would say is first you got to be willing. The next thing is you got to educate yourself.
okay.
So stop reading. I have a friend who only watches Fox News. So the only thing they believe is Fox News. So we got to get out of that. You got to get out of that. If I only watch CNN, I'm going to have a perspective. What if we decided we're going to get a perspective from a different angle? So one of the things, there are many books, but African American history is not taught in school. So white people don't know anything about us except what they see on TV or what they've heard from their friends. And television works for what is most sensational. If it bleeds, it leads. So you're going to see a lot more of things that are sensational, that kind of gets people in a tizzy on television. How many of us know and has an intimate relationship with a white person? You say this white person is your friend. So tell me what this friendship entails. So if you were in the hospital or you in the emergency room, is this a person that you would call to help you? So we got to learn the word acquaintance. We got a lot of acquaintances, but a lot of times we don't have those friends where we are willing to do these deep conversations, to do deep dives about what we really feel.
Let me ask you this. This was brought to my attention by my children, that I was talking about somebody and I made a comment of the color of their skin for them to get a picture. It didn't matter the color of their skin. That wasn't the issue. But instead of just talking that I talked to this person, da, 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 da. And they really gave me a hard time and said, Mom, you're really being racist. And I said, what? And they said, yeah, it doesn't matter when you're talking to another human being, to a friend, you never refer to them as the color of their skin. It doesn't matter. So I
agree with them. Think about the incident in the park with, I think her name was Amy.
Yes, I agree.
Amy's going to call the police. But what does Amy say? I'm calling the police and I'm going to tell them she didn't say there's a man. She didn't say there's a man. She said there's an African American man. And when she said that, she knew that was going to bring the cops quicker and they were going to be ready for a fight, And so she understood that. So there are times, I'm not saying that people are colorless, because I don't believe, I want you to know that I'm Black. I want you to know that I'm African American. So don't, when a friend says, I don't see your color, I don't understand what that means.
I want to talk about that, because I don't either, because I do, like, you two women are so beautiful. And Dr. D, you've got the most, your lips are so beautiful, and your high cheekbones and your big eyes, and it has nothing to do with, doesn't matter the color, right? But you are a beautiful Black woman. And same thing with you, Angela. What did I say to you yesterday? Gosh, Angela, your teeth are beautiful. It's like, so yes, of course we recognize the color, but we're not judging the color. It's like, wow, you're beautiful. That's.
Yeah, you don't judge it. You don't say that because we're a certain color that we do certain things or we act certain ways, because that takes away our humanity. All of us are not alike. All of us don't eat alike. All of us don't go to the same stores. None of us, most of the women I know, my friends, don't act like some of the Black women that you see on TV fighting and doing all kinds of things. They're different people. I don't have an issue with that if that's the way they roll.
And we don't look alike. We don't
look alike. So, but the other thing that needs to be done is that we need to have conversation. I work as the interim director of Interfaith Community Initiatives. And what we have done for the last 20 years or more is we take people on pilgrimages. And that trip includes people who are Black and brown, Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, and we come together and we learn about each other and each other's culture. And so we travel internationally, so we're not interrupted by our daily lives. And so I've traveled to Turkey and Spain and other places with people who are different from me. And so we have conversations about our humanity. We have conversation about our lives. We look for those connections, and although we're different, we recognize, as Dee talked about, we recognize the humanity in each person. The imago Dei, which means the face of God. So we see the face of God in the Muslim person. We see the face of God in the Jewish person, and so we come together to have conversations, not just superficial conversations, but real deep conversations about who we are and where we're going. And we continue when we get back to the United States, we continue those relationships. And
That
so
is beautiful.
and we have to do that, and we do that, but there are, in Atlanta, everything is somewhat divided, and so we don't go to church together. We don't go to the same places, but we got to be able to reach out beyond that divide. And
that's beautiful.
I want to say one more thing. And we have to be able to listen. I think all of us need to be trained in listening. We have to listen to each other without putting up a defense. We got to listen to each other with holy eyes and holy hearts. So we have to do this holy listening if we are to get to the next phase. Or if we can't get there now, let me tell you, there will be more rioting and more protesting in the street. And if one of us is not free, all of us are in bondage. So I think we need to all work together to get to that place where we feel at peace and we can experience joy and love.
That is beautiful.
I want to say something about the complaints that I hear about the protesting. When the Montgomery bus boycott was done, it was over 300 days, the protest. Wasn't that true, Angela?
It was.
Over 300 days, 360 days or something like that. So this one has only been going on for a few weeks, maybe like 15 days or something. And it's like people are complaining instead of listening. As Angela said, instead of putting themselves in their shoes and trying to find out if anybody is feeling this kind of pain, let me just listen to them. Let me just hear them. Let me read a book about them. There's that on YouTube, white fragility.
Oh yes, we were talking about that this morning.
We're talking about that. Everybody should go and watch it. It's on YouTube. And it really explains all this that we've been talking about and about, how a Caucasian should be able to overcome this issue they're going through. Many of them, I've had people call me and, oh, how are you doing? And I'm saying, I should be asking you how are you doing because we're fine. We already know what the problem is. It is you that you are finding it difficult to understand the problem and embrace it in terms of embrace the solution to it.
Exactly. Our time is almost up. I think you ladies are beautiful. I love what you're saying from the heart. I do want to share a little bit myself, and then I'll double check the time and see if there's something you would like to say at the end so we can end our live. So it's real. I want to talk about trauma, and we keep talking about that America's hurting. Globally, we were hurting. And because this is my specialty as an expert is to heal trauma. I've been a intuitive energy healer for 22 years and understand that trauma can be as simple as you moved to another city. You were a child and your parents moved, and maybe you didn't have the friends that you had, or maybe trauma happened because you were at school and your girlfriends were talking about you and they were making fun of you, or maybe you had trauma. Could be as simple as a memory that the teacher scolded you in front of the other kids, or trauma can be something your parents say or doesn't say. And so these are things that we're holding into ourselves, into our body and to our mind that just doesn't go away because of discussion. And I know this from firsthand of my own life, but I know this from working with people for 22 years. And I can tell you that the trauma that's ancestral, and we're talking today about ancestral, which has been generation after generation. And we're also talking about the community, the community, which would be the trauma of feeling like, if you're Afro-American or Black or whatever, and, you have this fear that you're going to be attacked or the police are going, like treat you differently, like the things we're talking about today. That's community. That's imprints. That is patterns, just like we're talking about. When it gets to be ancestral and it's passed from generation to generation, sometimes I see it that it may appear as a disease in the body because of maybe when I worked with people in New York and some of them were from the Holocaust, and now we've got this generation that has cancer because it's in the DNA. It's part of the DNA of suffering, of having your power taken away from you, and maybe the high blood pressure. That maybe more Blacks have had the high blood pressure. And you said that before, Dr. D. 90% of Black people, that's one of their things is high blood pressure. And if it becomes part of your DNA, high blood pressure has to do with holding in anger. And so it can be passed. And if you study Dr. Bruce Lipton, he says, only 5% of your DNA is actually you were born with. That's yours. The rest of it comes from the world. It comes from the environment, and it comes from our ancestors. So that's where I want the world, the people watching this live, to have a quick understanding about suffering, about trauma. So if what has been going on for 400 years at least, and we can really go back probably, if I'm not a history buff, and I'm sure it's happened for thousands of years, of where people were used and abused, and someone would take their power and use it on them. Whether you're a woman, whether you're someone of a different race, there is something going on. And so I believe that, as you're saying, it's a healing, but the trauma of being treated differently, the trauma of being held back, the trauma of being afraid of your own skin. For me, yes, I'm Caucasian, and yet I can walk down the street and there could be a bunch of guys and I still run into my own stuff. We've talked about this. Not one is better or worse than anybody else. That's not what this is about. But we've got COVID-19. And COVID-19 is a whole other story I would love to talk about. But it is taking our power away, that there's an unseen something out there we can't see, and we're afraid to live. We're afraid to go out of our houses. And then you take that, and that is trauma that won't go away when COVID-19 goes away until you go in and you release it. There's specific ways you've got to go in and let it go. Now you have the riots and the protests, and we have all these things that happened because of George Floyd, which has been, he sacrificed his life, you guys, for us, and no, I'm not calling him a saint. He was a spiritual being living a human experience. But, it's not just about the cop. It's about the situation, because I think there's a lot about us on a spiritual level that we don't even understand. We don't get it. But George Floyd played a big part of all of this coming to the surface to heal humanity. And we know that. We know that. We don't care about his past. We don't care about his background. We don't care that if he'd been in prison or not. I don't even know what's true and what's not. It doesn't even matter. This was a spiritual being that chose to help humanity. And it was pretty brutal, okay, is the way I look at it. The cop, we talked about, like we all know that everybody needs, what is it, Jesus, even in the Bible, an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, there's something there. But at the same token, we've got to find our own self of our own judgment of what we have done to release and let go of it. So that's trauma. There's just trauma, trauma, trauma. And that's what we're here today, is to help America to heal. And everybody, not one person is not being tested by the trauma. Not one person on this planet isn't having thoughts and feelings that they think, well, why is that coming up? What is happening? Why is today I'm feeling off balance? Why today do I feel on top of the world? Why today, da 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 da? It's the energy is moving so quickly, it's happening to all of us. So if trauma does not heal, it will slow us down, and we will have feelings of being stuck, just like a hamster wheel. So any of us that's had trauma, anyone in America that's had trauma, it doesn't matter the color of the skin, but if you've had trauma and you've been judged and you've been bullied, you are really getting hit with what's going on. It's coming up for you, your own pain. And at that point, it isn't about black and white. It is about the pain of that human being that's here that is spiritual. It's about not feeling loved and accepted. Now, 3 characteristics of feeling unbalanced. When there's trauma, we don't feel balanced. We're scattered, we're unfocused, we might be overly opinionated and possibly angry. It might be, and we all have done this, and we know people that do this, that years, maybe 50 years of their life is over with, but they can tell you what somebody did to them or what somebody said to them 50 years ago, and they're going to die on their deathbed remembering it. They justify their anger. They justify why they're still right after 5 years, 10 years, 1 day, 50, 60 years of their life, why they're okay to believe what they did, what that person did to them. Guys, that's being a victim. You're not being judged right now, but it is being a victim. And that's trauma. That was trauma that has to go in and be released. And the average person, most of us don't know how to do that. Talking about it does not relieve trauma. So the other way of trauma, this is number 3, is possibly you're overeating. Maybe you're drinking more than normal. Maybe you're smoking, you're gambling, you're shopping, whatever it is, you're doing something more. Because in this unseen world that we all live in, that's around us, this trauma of the world, of COVID-19 and the riots, it just makes us a little uncomfortable. And if you understand that we all are one, that we know we are, we're taking in the energy. We're feeling other people's pain and suffering. So now we have our own pain. Now we're feeling other people's pain. That is trauma. That's how trauma operates. So we have to do what you ladies are talking about, and we have to be able to dive in, and it's surrendering. And you guys being ministers, you understand it's about surrendering. But we don't really quite understand that. We're told there's a Holy Spirit, praying it goes away, but the average person can't calm down enough to let it go to silence. So there are ways to do it. There absolutely are proven ways to do it. I have a 4-step process that literally I can go in, read your energy field, identify to help you, and to help you connect to your soul, to help you release it. So that is my gift, something I do. I would like to let people know that Be the Wish is a Facebook group you can join. Today and every Friday at noon, we have a meditation. And today was a gigantic healing. I even did energy clearing for the group. And I did tape the meditation part. And you can come in on every Friday and literally get a healing done free. Do it. And that's Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. The other one is I do have a report. You can call it an ebook or report for the young kid. That's called 5 Hacks. It's more marketing, but honestly, it's 5 gifts. 5 gifts of ways to heal. And it's very practical. It's a free report that you can download. You can read it, 12 pages, and you get 5 ways to heal. So you can text me. You can reach out to me, Judy at judyjewett.com. instant message me. I will make sure you get the free report. It's well worth it. I'll put the link online that everybody can click on and get their own free report. That'll be out there. So that is my gift to you all, is ways to heal. The 5 from the report, you do these daily as much as you can. It'll balance and center you. And then the free meditation, the group meditation, you can come to the group. And then do what Reverend Angela's talking about. Listen. Just listen. Just let go and just listen. And then Dr. D is talking about making a conscious effort to see people all the likeness and image of God, and always pray. Pray, whether it's, you may not call it God, God is our word, but it may be another, a power greater than you, however you want. But call that in, because you've got help. You've got spiritual help all the time. You just have to ask for it. So with that being said, I didn't mean it. If you guys want to give a sentence or two or whatever, if not, we need to go. But anything you want to add?
I just want to say that I work with entrepreneurs, and this time has been mostly women entrepreneurs, and this time has been very, very challenging. And what I do is work on the strategic, have a strategic plan for them, look at the catalyst of how they can get to the next level in their business. And the trauma you're talking about, I always see it, because moving from one step to the other, sometimes what is holding you back is the trauma. So we're all on the same page here, that with entrepreneurs, we need to talk. We need to really work together for you to be able to release, let go, do some family constellation and some prayers and some releasing, some listening, to be able to get to the next level in your business, because everything is connected and we all need financial stability. And without releasing all these things, it's very challenging to be able to have financial stability.
Thank you very much.
Yes, my website is drdeadiomoses.com, which is DRDEEADIOMOSES. Or you can just direct message me and we take it from there.
Thank you, Dr. D. How about you, Reverend Angela? Anything
Well,
else?
I want to say that I really understand what you talk about trauma, and I've read a lot about trauma and how it does reshape us. But one of the things that I could say is that we have to begin to realize that in America, we all share the same trauma. So a lot of times it's seen that it's the African American thing, but white people have to know in this country that they share that trauma with us. And so we have to see what is happening on the street in these cities and in the world. It is not a Black problem. It is a problem, and that we are all impacted. And even when we watch news, we are assimilating into our bodies even more trauma. So there's out there for all of us, and we're all going through this traumatic experience. But I just wanted to say, if people are interested in learning more about how to be with people who are different, how to have those deep conversations, how to process that in a way that is uplifting and helps you get to the next level, you can go to interfaithci.org. That's Interfaith Community Initiative's website, and learn about what we do to bring people together and to begin to build a world where all of us are trauma-free and that we are creating a society where people are free and that they can be the best of who they are. And thank you so much, Judy, for inviting me.
That is beautiful. And I do want to also acknowledge that with the riots, well, with the protests, not the riots, but with
it's not a riot.
with the protest, there are so many Caucasians
Yes.
that are
Yes.
shouting out saying, I don't feel that way. I don't believe that way. And I am here to support every Afro-American as another human being. It is beautiful how the world is coming together, America. And we do need to acknowledge that. One last thing, you can go to my website. It's Judy Jewett, JEWETT.com. You can sign up also for an energy assessment, and you can sign up for a 30-minute free strategy session that will dive in and give you some tips and tools of whatever you need. With that, I want to thank everybody. Have a blessed day. And ladies, thank you very much.
Thank you, Judy.